Steve, how did the business get started and how did you find your way into this?
The business started in 2011. It was co-founded by a journalist and a tech co-founder in kind of classic fashion. It actually started as in a different way than most marketplace businesses did, which is actually from the supply side, which is the journalist CEO, his name is Scott Yates, was looking, he's a multiple entrepreneur, was looking for opportunities for his fellow journalists to have opportunities in the freelance world. And where would those be? Well, SEO content would be one of them. And the technical co-founder, Wade Green, was looking at new ways of making marketplace systems using true marketplace dynamics. A lot of the competitors out there are using more of an outsourcing model and extending that more towards using freelancers as outsourcers instead of employees. And how do you use more marketplace dynamics in order to deliver a true system? So it started in from the supply side in 2011, focused on the problem of SMBs need to compete in SEO. How do you give them the opportunity to do so? Um,
Hmm.
and at a time where just putting words on any page got Google to find you very quickly at the very early days of SEO. And so they had a monthly subscription product, which was $79 a month for 4 blogs, all delivered on Thursday. And I think the tagline of the company at the time was working like a dog to fill your blog. We have come
All right.
we've come a little ways.
Okay. I mean, it's catchy.
Thanks. And so then in 2016, I had worked in marketplace plus SaaS businesses. That's what I consider what the Verblio platform is. Since 2004, since a lot of the early days, I was at a pioneering call center, virtual call center company called LiveOps, which had 20,000 call center agents, rose to $150 million really quickly, and was really innovating on this concept of what can you do if you have a highly curated um, marketplace of top talent that can be dissected into so many different levels of expertise and availability. And you put that on a SaaS platform that makes it easier to deliver that type of experience. You can do all sorts of new things. So I had the privilege of being the VP of business development and strategy by the end. Basically, my job was creating new businesses on this business model. And so I was in the really fortunate place where when I moved back to Colorado, which is from Silicon Valley in 2010, that Wade and Scott were looking for someone to take over the business who knew how to scale marketplace SaaS businesses, was locally based, who loved marketing, and who loved finding new opportunities for freelancers.
Hmm. And so, what was the business designed from the get go to be kind of a tech enabled services marketplace? Or did it just slowly morph that way and started out as a more traditional agency?
It was from the very beginning, and the team put in 40 to 50% of the budget went into tech and product from the very beginning to build these out so that we were building something that was much more tech than services. And some of the core principles that they built in are kind of interesting on the market dynamic side. And so, probably the most important principle of the Verblio platform is that writers choose the clients. And in doing so, you make much more of a marketplace system. In almost all other services, kind of marketplaces, there is a command and control model where the freelancers get allocated projects based on what they qualify for, what their availability is. But if you invert that incentive structure, then the freelancer, the writer, is looking for opportunities where they're a fit. They only get paid if their piece of work is accepted by the end client, which means they take on more risk for this. And in doing so, they deliver projects much more quickly. So our average turnaround time is 2 to 3 days for a project, which is very different than 7 to 30 days for most companies. They have a higher quality level because they're more motivated, more excited, and need to be a good fit in order to keep going. And there's a lot of other intangibles as well. One of them is the ability to have excess capacity in your system that you don't pay for. So we have the ability to go up 20 to 30 to 80% new capacity with our existing model because of the way these guys built it into the system. So it's really impressive, and it's one of the great gifts that they gave me.
The end value that you promise to the customer is still content.
Yes.
The difference versus content agencies is it's just how do you source it, how it gets produced.
That's about right. The one of the other differences, we don't do content strategy. We lean on the agencies to use that as their level of expertise. But the end product that we're producing is we are sending content directly to our clients, either in any format that they're looking for.
Who are you considering your competition?
So this is always an interesting question. The two competitors that we think about the most, and then I'll talk about other players that are doing a similar thing in the space. And so our biggest competition is definitely if the content marketing industry right now is $10 billion a year and it's moving towards 38 billion by in the next decade, is internal writers, that is basically internal capacity that that internal marketers don't feel comfortable in outsourcing as yet, or don't know that there's quality providers that can do it at scale and actually write for your content. I would say that is by far our biggest, is winning over those clients, because it hasn't been proven that there's good players in the space who can deliver that yet, and that's what we're laser focused on. The second one is concept of status quo for marketers, which is content is still, while it's an old marketing channel, using content in an innovative way to really differentiate yourself or give your company a giant moat is new. So we have a client that does 1,200 unique articles with us. We have another client that just signed up to do 17,000 articles in 3 months. In order, as a new company, newly funded by venture capital, in order to really set themselves apart in a way that VC funded companies used to only use digital media for, or paid outsourcing, or or
Paid
sale,
media.
yeah, paid media, salespeople, kind of scaling your sales force. Now, innovative marketers know that these opportunities are out there and are using new channels for content. So I'd say our two big competitors are really kind of intangible, which are, we're competing against the quality of in-house marketers and the status quo of not moving, and the status quo of not doing more content, because you can do a lot more now at quality than you could before. And then there's this whole group of competitors that are playing with similar models, and those include Crowd Content and Writer Access and Text Broker and other companies that are trying to find a way. We look at kind of, those guys are delivering a similar type of value. And then you have the Upworks and the Fivers, where you could go source an individual freelancer if you don't want to use our SaaS platform to deliver content and access to kind of the broader pool of talent.
So your business model is then you basically you take a cut from your intermediary there.
Kind of, that's much more of the Upwork model. It's kind of like that. So we get paid a subscription service, and then we buy the client, and so the client has a subscription to content, and then we engage with the writers. And all right, I'm going to take back that answer. Let's just keep it simple and call it basically yes, and it's too complicated to explain the rest, and it's not that interesting.
Fair enough. So, content marketing, like freelancers and agencies, it's extremely competitive. It sounds like everybody and their mother is a freelance writer or a content agency these days. What are you doing to stand out in this massive sea of providers that all look pretty much the same?
Yeah, all services areas are a really hard place to compete. So, similar with digital marketing agencies, we're doing a few things. We are offering, so first, we're trying to be the talent magnet for top freelancers. We're paying premium rates. Um, we offer a community of writers and opportunities that to choose your own. So, being a Verblio writer is really different. We accept about 4.5% of our applicants who come to us, and it's an exclusive group, and they have forums and opportunities to move forward. So we are trying to create, and they get to pick their own work. So one of the areas of being a freelancer that's always kind of a grudge is if you're an in-house writer and you have to write 200 blogs about waste management every single month, you've got about 2 months in you before you can't take it anymore. But if you have a variety of topics, you can actually grow, develop into new areas, develop an expertise in legal writing, in healthcare writing. It gives you the opportunity to grow and have community in ways that most freelancer platforms don't. And so we're looking at all the key drivers. So one way we're trying to stand out is to attract the best talent and make this the best place for the writers to go. Another is the scalability of the platform. The concept of quality is a really hard one. It's super intangible, and it really depends on your view of content, or of content quality. We need to be better than what you're expecting. So we need to be better than your alternate options, and that's different for different companies. Um, but we put a lot of our technology platform and our business model into how to deliver higher premium content at scale in a way that we think is unique and really can help us stand out. And the third is brand. We really focused on building this Verblio brand. We rebranded 3 years ago, and we focused on not just being a really the how do I say, an attractive brand, a place that you want to spend a lot of time because you want to work with us, listen to our podcast. Our content is fun and engaging. You should laugh at least a few times on every page of our website. Um, we want to be the friendliest content creation platform and the people to work with. So some of that is part of brand, and part of it is the classic. If you're in a services business, and part of our business is, you want to have the best people that all the other top people want to work with, and you want them to refer you to everybody else that you talk to. So brand reputation too.
So is the brand mainly geared towards the writers or the end buyer?
It is geared mainly towards the digital marketers, who is our end buyer.
How are you capturing demand, getting new clients? Which channels are you tapping into? You mentioned blogs, so SEO. I'm guessing. How else are people finding out who you are?
So until last year, we are a content agency, or we're a content marketplace that is focused on how to drive customers to you through writing great content, and that is our primary driver by far. One of the other gifts our founding CEO, who's a journalist, got us was a really high domain authority ranking by writing blogs every single day. So we think it works. We bring in about 1,000 new clients a year from our organic traffic. Until a year and a half ago, we only had one inbound salesperson to handle all of that. Most of it just the flywheel worked, and we invested everything else into the product, which was our core strategy. Make the product better, make the writing better, and the customers will come. Our other channels that we're developing more now is really kind of our first level of lead gen. We hired our first SVP of sales and business development just over a year ago, and we have two BDRs. And so we're just figuring out how to do lead generation for, and here's our hard part, is our ICP is digital marketers that want to go bigger with quality content. And that is a really hard thing to really target. And so we are going to kind of their watering holes, like the Slack channels where they hang out, the sponsored events. And when they start talking about interest in content is when we reach out to them, as opposed to reaching out cold to a list. And that's been doing very well for us. But we're at the initial phases of just a couple BDRs developing those channels.
Gotcha. So the sales development, I'm guessing, is then early stages, not generating huge percentage of revenue yet. Would you say then SEO content marketing is number one channel?
Like 95% number one channel.
95%. I just looked up your domain authority, domain ranking in Ahrefs is like 65. So I mean, it's decent, but it's not fantastic. But would it be fair to say that it's enough in your arena? And you mentioned the size of the content marketing industry, and as it's growing super rapidly, that you're also fueled by just pre-existing demand for content.
Yeah, so a few things. We think it's pretty good, but I hear what you're saying on market standards. It's really important how we rank versus kind of like the other competitors they'd be looking for, which is the critical factor for us. And then
Hmm.
we are riding a great wave. Like we we think we're growing faster than uh, other players in our space by a lot, by leaps and bounds.
Hmm.
But man, we're riding a great wave. This the last stats that I read was growing from $11 billion to $38 billion in 10 years for content, and that's a great place to be.
Amazing. So tell me, what are you specifically doing for products? So if I want the best, are you trying to compete on best, or are you trying to compete on we can scale like 17,000 pieces in a quarter, which is
Mhm.
unheard of, or are you also cheaper than some of the other players? What is the product strategy here?
Got it. So we are not cheaper. So the product strategy is not to compete on price, but to compete on value and things that other companies can't do.
Hmm.
The product strategy is There's a lot of it focused on kind of what the content is and how it gets and how we drive that through our writer community. And so those will be algorithms of which writers get shown which part of the product, the user experience of how to deliver, how to enhance content with SEO optimization, things like that, how to break down our subject matter expertise. So we have 40 verticals that we write to, and getting smarter and smarter about which about our matching algorithms. Um, so there's a whole host of product initiatives that are there. Then we just have the user experience of managing that much content and editing back and forth. Imagine editing 1,200 pieces of unique content for a digital marketing agency that is writing for 100 clients. All of their clients have to be able to approve each piece of content on our white label platform before afterwards. Has to be SEO optimized, has to be turned into videos, has to be posted directly on their CMS. So there's a lot to it. And then really the next wave outside of this is new product development. We acquired an AI video company 3 years ago that we have been growing so fast that it's been hard to invest too much into. But there's a lot of new products that go with content that is going to be the next wave of how do you make the content more engaging, more consumable, so it's more effective. Because if you're going to grow from $11 billion industry to 38 billion, it means that everything is about to get even more competitive. If there's 6 million new blogs every day, they're going to have to get better. They're going to have to be more interesting. There's going to have to be unique growth in order to stand out in these channels.
How has the strategy, your business strategy of trying to win, how has it changed and evolved? Let's say over the last 5 years, has the target audience changed? How have the channels that you're acquiring customers from evolved? Yeah, and your strategy to win on those channels.
Yeah. So when I first took over the company, we were an SMB platform focused on these small monthly subscriptions. One of the big strategic moves, focuses that we did was to focus on digital marketing agencies and to really plant our flag. It's part of building up how we changed our product and also how we changed our brand. Um, so that had been really 2/3 of our revenue until last year. And now we're at another wave of innovating in our strategy. So that example of the 17,000 article client in 3 months feels like it's a new wave that we need to build our platform towards and still working our market on. So if it turns out that this is the one of the top ways that new companies are going to try to stand out by building a ton of content, building a huge moat really quickly, we need to be able to deliver that. Then we need to build our product around that as a next wave. And we need to build our sales and marketing strategy to target those companies too. So we only have a few really big examples of that happening right now. And I hope that's a giant wave because it's also really exciting. Like it's so much better than paid media. You're you're answering questions that people are looking for just fundamentally versus interruption marketing.
Hmm. So you say digital agencies is your the key segment you're going after. So what are you doing specifically in your marketing to appeal to those people? So I just opened up your homepage, and you don't say much about agencies here.
Now, agencies know that, yeah, we speak fluent agency, and it doesn't need to be there. There is an agency page that you can find on the homepage that
Hmm.
that speaks even more specifically
Yep.
to it. Interestingly, our revenue went from about 2/3 agencies to about 55%. So it's we need to appeal to both since it's half of our revenue now, and the largest growing
Hmm.
segment isn't. So we need to address all of their needs. The uh, the key things that agencies are looking for are very similar to what brands are looking for, with the addition of how can they work with our account management team if they don't want to manage the self-service platform by themselves. So we have external professional services to really just integrate easily into our system. How can you manage content for all of the different types of verticals that they focus on? Can our subject matter expertise and quality of our writing outcompete anything that they're doing currently? And then the white label platform, which is really important piece of their puzzle. Most of them want it to look like themselves and not like us, and so we have to make that look tip top as part of the kind of the end part of our platform.
Gotcha. What kind of bets have not paid off?
It's interesting. So I will say the video bet hasn't paid off yet, and I will couch that by saying we have not put much into it. Um, it's interesting to have acquired a video company, and then we offer the video product, and it's at the early phases of how does video integrate with written content. So there's no one has really defined the perfect product fit for how they go together, even though big bets have been made, such as Brian Halligan said in his famous 2016 inbound presentation that video should be half of your marketing, your content marketing right now, even before HubSpot had a video product. So I think marketers have been trying to figure that out ever since. And so we are still iterating on how exactly that fit works, whether it's for engagement, whether it's for social promotion or others. What is the one of the other ones? The other thing that I made a big bet on early was to offer an annual account for SMBs where they could save a significant amount of money to really help reduce churn. But it turns out that's much more of an enterprise play than an SMB play. The SMBs are much more interested in maintaining their flexibility than they were even for the larger discount of moving forward. So I spent some good dev cycles on that.
Hmm. Have you, and the new type of customers that are coming in, those are more enterprisey, I would assume.
They are. They're mostly clients that are spending five to $100,000 a month with us on content versus the old days when I first started of $79 a month.
What is the next big milestone that you are planning to hit?
Well, we hit a big one in December. We had our first $1 million month. That was really exciting. What is our next one? The the next big milestone is really kind of it's less interesting towards anybody else who's not working at our company and our clients is we are changing our old subscription system into a crediting system. So we're ripping and replacing our entire back end so that our clients can have more flexibility of what they want to do with their clients with their credits. And so the reason that's interesting is that the market has changed. It used to be if you were just consistent with the number of written posts that you had of blogs every month, you were getting noticed. But now content is starting to look a little more like paid marketing. There's opportunities to do a lot in a short period of time. Having burst capacity and the ability to scale up and scale down are both becoming important. In order to do that, you have to have more of a crediting system on the back end than a pure subscription system. And that's going to be delivered in the next 3 months. And the next big one after that is the revamp of our video platform, which I'm super excited about.
So as you're thinking about those goals and growing your revenue year over year, let's assume looking at 2025, 3 years from now,
Mhm.
um, what's the strategy to win here?
So we're on a nice path of growing 50% per year bootstrapped. The big part of our strategy is we're finally at the point of entertaining raising investments to move faster on our product. The the big keys to winning is really to make the flywheel work better and better at every phase. So for tech enabled services, you're still using people at each level in order to figure out the solutions, and then you build the product around them to deliver it more efficiently at scale, higher margins, and with more quality. The the vision for me is to build a true marketplace dynamics system that delivers this high level quality with minimal human involvement for higher quality that nobody else can do. And we think we have that lead right now, but to build it into a next gen platform, I think is really exciting. And then the question is, if we build this right, will this work in other verticals outside of content as ways to manage freelancer marketplace services? And I think it does. To me, that's the second that we start looking at other verticals about how this may be exciting is really where we're making a big change kind of society wise in the freelancer economy.
As markets get more mature and competition intensifies, most services and products and also marketplaces get commoditized. We see it like in food delivery. Your DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats. Like what's the difference really? Or your Uber and Lyfts. So it's probably likely that similar commoditization is already happening and coming stronger at you. Uh, how are you preparing for it? Are you consciously building any moats?
So we think we are building a moat. It's really hard. It's harder to find it in services than it is in like a pure SaaS play. Um, the we need to have a better we need to have better quality. We need to have a better an easier to use platform, the most friction free platform possible, and the most scalability. plus the right amount of add-ons. So we're kind of the one-stop shop approach. As you, there's a lot of pieces that you need in order to deliver good content, which we need to build out as well. We think that it really comes as a package strategy, as opposed to one of those is like the key differentiator for the SaaS platform, like in other kind of other tech businesses. But that's our eyes on the prize, and we are always living in fear of being compared to anybody else at the quality level we deliver.
Hmm. So if somebody is, looking at the top quality, alternatives here, what is your go-to, elevator pitch here? Like, why go with you?
Uh, the top level elevator pitch is a couple things. So one is just test us, and don't test us on one dang piece of content. That is not a test. Test us on how do you write 100 quality pieces of content in a month, because that's the place where nobody else we think we outcompete everybody else. So you
Hmm.
want to build up the test to fit you, but you also want it to fit your client's needs, which is this is really what you are going to be looking for. So we have that piece.
Like,
We have references, and then we have uh, the ease of use of the platform is really it's a big selling point. We get this comment from so many of our clients that it's the easiest to use platform, and it saves their team a ton of time. um, all of those things are really hard to just say here's my pitch bias because of this one thing, versus
mhm.
that services approach. It is a combo where you're going to have to try the experience in order to fully believe me.
Yeah, superficial. I mean, as a bystander, ease of use is not really a sustainable competitive advantage because
Right.
today's consumer expectations, everything is easy to use, like most everything, and or will be. But
Totally.
the high quality, high volume, content output. That's something that I don't see anybody saying on the market. Um, that's an interesting thing to lean on. Awesome, Steve. Thank you very much.